Welcome back to another video. It is 8:36 a.m. on Thursday, the 24th, and here's your financial update. We're going to jump into an interesting article, and by the way, I'm going to cut out part of this video and put it on my main channel because this topic is a little bit personal. It's a little bit outside of just the finance, though it's highly related. And it also applies to kind of the topics I get more on my main channel, which is more about geopolitics, red pill, as opposed to straight financial news like this channel is focused on. I kind of want to keep my channels clean. I know there are some people who do every topic they're interested in on one channel, and that might work. I just kind of want my videos to have more of my channels to be more themed, like this channel is focused on this, that channel is focused on that. I don't really care about subscribers or anything like that. So you'll see this video on this channel, and we'll go through all the articles I have up here, and then you will see a cut of this one on my other channel if you follow it. Talking about this article right here, the silent exodus nobody sees, leaving work forever. And I just skimmed the top of it, but I think this is going to get into a lot of what I have personally done and what I hope many of you can, if you need to, do. Hang on one second. Okay, the take this job and shove it exodus is silently gathering momentum. The exodus out of cities is getting a lot of attention, but the exodus that will unravel our economic and social orders is getting zero attention. The exodus from work. Like the exodus from troubled urban cores, the exodus from work has long-term complex causes that the pandemic has accelerated. These are the core drivers of the exodus from work. 1. Labor's share of the economy has been in multi-decade decline. It's easy to blame globalization or automation, and that's true that the decline in labor's share accelerated from 2000 and on, but this trend began around 1970, long before China joined the World Trade Organization and the advent of software eating the world. 2. While it's convenient for those reaping the big gains to blame globalization and automation, the real driver was financialization. The neoliberal move to deregulate finance so it could turn everything into an exploitable market that could be made to serve one master. Shareholder value, the innocuous sounding code phrase for anything goes and winner takes most if you're rich. Wow. Okay. Shareholder value was the super wealthy's self-serving justification for unlimited greed as corporations went from being enterprises serving communities, the national interest, employees, customers, and shareholders to financialization machines whose sole purpose was enriching insiders via loading the company with debt to pay huge bonuses to top managers, stock buybacks funded by debt, the abandonment of trustworthy accounting principles, and so on. Financialization and the deification of shareholder value never seen that word. Maybe that's supposed to be sliced all the gains into the hands of the few at the top at the expense of the many. As the chart below indicates, the top 1% enjoyed income gains of around 350% since 1979, while the bottom 90% barely topped 20%, a number that would be sharply negative if real-world inflation were included. Simply put, the bottom 90% wage earners lost ground over the past 4 decades of financialization, while the wealthy winners of financialization became super wealthy. The rewards of labor market have diminished to an extraordinary degree for the bottom 90%, and even the 91 to 99% bracket has found their labor has mostly served to enrich those above them. It's true, and I'm no communist. I'm all about capitalism, but I can agree with many on the left that the income inequality is out of control. And I think a lot of people on the right agree with that too. I don't even know if that's necessarily a leftist position. But yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Definitely a capitalist, though. I'm not about wealth redistribution. These trends will drive both the top wage earners and the bottom wage earners out of the workforce. The managerial class that keeps the whole machine glued together can either retire or use their human and financial capital to find other less stressful ways to make a living and downsize their expenses to match their reduced income. Some will be voluntary, some will be involuntary, but results will be the same. A mass exodus of hard-to-replace skilled workers. This is what I'm calling the take this job and shove it exodus. Interesting. So it's not so much about what I thought. I just thought, this article was going to be about the pandemic and how so many people have left San Francisco and LA and New York City, like myself. But let's see. Once the Federal Reserve starts sending free money directly to households, which is going to be done, by the way, folks, through the digital currency, through the Federal Reserve. What is it? Central bank digital currency. It's not good. That's why I'm buying gold and crypto. I'm super nervous that the Fed is going to be able to start digitally printing money. That's going to be really bad news. Okay, so once the Federal Reserve starts sending free money, which is what they're alluding to here, directly to households, many at the bottom of the pay scale will realize they too can take this job and shove it. What few well-paid apologists seem to realize is that to equal the purchasing power of the minimum wage I earned in 1970, which was $1.65 an hour, the minimum wage would have to be close to $20 an hour now. The absurdly underreported rate of official inflation claims that a minimum wage of $12 an hour now equals the purchasing power of $1.65 in 1970. But since I've kept records of all expenses, I can report that this is totally false. So the CPI says that it's $12 an hour now to get $1.65 an hour from 1970. But I would, just the way it feels, like, in 2020, $12 an hour ain't shit, especially if you live anywhere near a major urban area. If you're getting $12 an hour out in the backwoods, though, good enough for sure. As the chart below shows, wages share of the economy has been in a relentless 50-year slide. Yeah. The entire machinery of inflation's calculation has been driven by the desperate need to mask the true collapse of the purchasing power of wages. Once the workforce awakens to this, the silent exodus out of the workforce will gather into a flood tide. Permanent unemployment payments, UBI, free-fed money, regardless of the program or name, these will enable a mass exodus of those at the bottom of the workforce pay scale, while burnout will also decimate the ranks of essential managerial skilled workers. So this article has nothing to do with what I thought it was going to do with. It's basically saying that inflation's out of control, and once the Fed starts sending money to people, people are just going to be like, why am I even working? Okay, I get it. It's payback time, people. Hey, financial aristocracy, clean your own floors and slaughter your own meat. Hey, corrupt politicos and apparatchiks, wipe your own tables and watch your own brats. The take this job and shove it exodus is silently gathering momentum. Interesting. Okay, so like this whole article was about UBI and inflation. I'm just like kind of going through these comments here. Anything good? This is some pretty black-pilled stuff. Okay. Honestly, it's an interesting article for sure. I honestly thought it was going to be about the exodus out of massive cities, the mass exodus out of cities, and it was going to be about, Corona accelerating that. It's actually more about Corona accelerating the need to go to a digital bank currency and UBI and people just not working because the Fed just sends them free money in a digital bank. That's the scariest thing, man. That digital bank, and you're going to have the social credit system in America that China has, but way worse. And anything you do online, anything you think that's bad that someone else gets a whiff of, you're going to get like a strike, and then the federal government isn't going to put money in your account. That's where we're heading, folks. Social credit system, beyond that, also the way you make a living and how you get paid, and it will all be controlled. Your behavior is going to have an effect on that. It's scary. That's where I see this going. Anyway, I'm going to cut this here for my main channel, but for the financial report, let's go on. If you're not subscribed, it's Roman's Financials. If you go down a few videos on my main channel, you'll see that I linked it and I talked about it. But anyway, cool. Well, I pulled the crypto prices up. We might as well chat about them right now. It's a little mixed. Bitcoin chilling at 10,400. XRP is not doing so hot at just under 23 cents. Let's check this list. It's sometimes easier to read. I like both, though. It looks like everything's just kind of trending down. Any big winners or losers in the top 50? Digibyte is a big loser. I got a friend who loves this stuff. It's not doing so hot right now, though. Okay. We will get out of crypto except for this one last one. I wanted to chat about this because I haven't even thought about not staking. We have coins that literally generate additional coins by you holding them. So VeChain does that in the power or in the way that it produces VeChain Thor, which has value. Neo produces gas, which has value. Tezos gives you more Tezos. It's proof of stake. Same with Cardano. If you're staking your Cardano or your Tezos, you will incrementally earn more of those coins, and your balance will grow bigger, and you'll earn more. It snowballs and so forth. And Ethereum is set to move to proof of stake with Ethereum 2.0, and it was reported that you needed 32 Ethereum to be your own staking pool. Otherwise, you were going to have to pool up with others. But then I saw this article where it was like, why would you not want to stake? So I kind of want to read this because I want to know if there's a reason not to put your coins out there and earn more ETH. So let's read this. To stake or not to stake, 2.0 testers weigh in. The Medalla testnet for Ethereum 2.0 is still chugging along, but not all validators that have contributed to it are confident about staking on the real thing when it is finally launched. Interesting. Testnets serve a very good purpose, then as determine whether the technology is capable of running on a much broader scale. For Ethereum, the Medalla testnet has been in operation and growing in terms of staked ETH and validators since early August. Not all validators have been happy with the experience, however, and one has stated that he has no intention of staking on Beacon Chain when it gets launched. Beacon Chain. Wait, what? What is Beacon Chain? Is that some kind of staking pool? Reasons not to stake. Beacon Chain validator Chase Wright has launched a scathing thread on Twitter explaining why he has no intention of staking real ETH. Whoa. 1. Why I won't be staking ETH at launch, a thread. Like many of you, I'm excited for ETH 2, the Beacon Chain, Phase 0, and everything that will come after. I have participated in Onyx, Wida, Altona, and Medalla test networks. I tried Prism and Lighthouse. I'm going to click over to Twitter now. I want to read the rest of the thread. And yes, I am here if you want to follow me. 2, I ran the clients in Docker on Windows, Docker on Linux, and Bare Metal on Linux. I've opened GitHub issues against both clients multiple times. I even participated in the fuzz testing. 3, I've been pretty much done it all when it comes to getting familiar with the clients, how to run them, how to configure them, etc. However, I will not be participating in the Genesis, and I will not be staking in ETH. Why? Well, I have a few reasons. 4, first, we have the fact that the average Medalla validator is still in the red. We all know that everyone is in the red due to a bug in a single client, and the bug was fixed. Yay? What happens when if a similar bug happens on mainnet? What's the response? 5. Because the Medalla response to do fuck all is an unacceptable response, none of the teams have demonstrated their ability to fix a situation like this. To this date, there hasn't been a single successful fork of an ETH2 Beacon Chain. 6. This is something that the ETH2 teams seem to be proud of as well. The response to questions like this is, let's get it out the door and worry about the forks later. Excuse me? 7. No, you want to come into a production network with potentially hundreds of millions of dollars with pristine audited code only to figure out how to deal with forks later? No thanks. The DAO Part 2 will happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. 8, when Vitalik's answer to what do we do when ETH2 is attacked is fork, but nobody wants to demonstrate what a fork for ETH2 looks like. Yikes. 9. Now, speaking of the issue being caused by a single client, that brings me to my second issue. You would think that prior to going to mainnet, the teams would all just agree on unified APIs that would allow a validator node from one client to talk to a beacon node from 10 another client, but no, that seems to be something to finalize, work out later. The whole thing reeks of being in a hurry to deliver on an arbitrary deadline that nobody is enforcing but themselves. Dude, this guy goes on, folks. I'm not going to keep reading. Obviously he's basically giving us a whole bunch of reasons why he isn't going to be staking right off the bat, and this is the very first time I'm hearing anything like this. For me, it's like, why wouldn't I start staking from day 1 or day 0, like what I did with Tezos? The second I bought into Tezos, and the second that Shelly came out for Cardano's mainnet, I started staking that too. I didn't even know that not staking was an option, or like something to even be considered, I should say. So that's very, very interesting. Now, this article does have some counter arguments. Reasons to stake. Lead Ethereum developer Danny Ryan responded to the thread acknowledging the risks with early staking, but rebutting most of the points. The testnet is actually very decentralized, and that's a quote, and here it goes. Medalla has 1,000 nodes, probably an order of magnitude more than any other proof-of-stake testnet. He added that client voting processes have improved over the past couple months and disagreed with the comments about rushed shipping. Mm-hmm. He's basically saying, dude, all the things you're talking about do exist, but they're not that much of a big deal. So that guy's definitely still going to stake. Interesting. Now maybe I'll wait a week. Maybe I'll wait a month to stake on ETH 2.0. Following up on Iran, we talked about Iran, I think, 2 or 3 days ago, because I was basically saying the U.S. government was behind Iran and lagging in crypto adoption. Iran was allowing people to directly plug their machines into a power plant's secondary grid, which wasn't part of their main grid, to mine crypto. Iran-based Bitcoiner Zahra Amini was used to answering questions on cryptos, but usually about their relationship with crime. So when a 70-year-old man recently asked her to explain crypto because he no longer wanted to rely on the national rial, Amini felt something had changed. Uh-oh. So Grandpa's asking about the Bitcoin, and he's doing it for some real serious reasons. He's like, this currency sucks. 70 years old in Iran, so that definitely means bull run 2020 confirmed, right? Isn't that that's the old trope, you know? If Grandpa or Grandma start asking about Bitcoin, it's on, and you might even be too late, right? So I think you're already supposed to have sold. Here's another quote. If people that age are thinking about storing their wealth in anything rather than the national rial, it's because they are losing confidence in it, and more people are looking for alternatives. Bitcoin is increasingly relevant in Iran as the country suffers from an economic downturn fueled by U.S. sanctions and the COVID-19 pandemic. Bitcoin's independence from government control makes it an attractive option for individuals hoping to hold on to the value of their earnings as the rial suffers from inflation. Amini openly advocates for Bitcoin and joked that she wouldn't mind stopping people in the streets to tell them about the crypto. Speaking to CoinDesk, fellow Iranian and Bitcoin maximalist Zaya Sadar went so far to say that holding wealth in rials can mean losing money every day. Well, yeah. If they're printing it. Same with dollars, folks. Being in America doesn't make you any better. You're just sitting there with this X amount of money in your checking account. And let me tell you, every single day that money is actually worth less. The number might look the same, but it will buy you less. You will buy less loaves of bread with each penny. Iran's famously repressive government has not snuffed out crypto. It has recognized Bitcoin mining as a legitimate industry that could bring wealth into the country, though it risks suffocating it with too much regulation. The country's central bank has also endorsed the creation of a national digital currency. I'm not going to read anything about U.S. sanctions. People are bullish about Bitcoin in Iran, and that's the thing that people in the West never understand. They always say Bitcoin is a fad. It's like, you've been living in the West where the euro and the US dollar have reigned supreme for decades. You have no idea. There are people in Venezuela, there are people in Iran who have these terrible currencies and these really, really bad governments in charge, and Bitcoin is a major safe haven for them. So, we always look at it from the Western perspective, but try not to. It's a big deal, folks. It is a really big deal, and that's one of the reasons I'm so bullish on it myself. Let's talk about precious metals now, because yesterday we saw gold dip like so low. Look at that, 1850. It's coming up a little bit. Silver dipped down to 2181 recently. Like, wow. If it hits 20, I'm definitely buying more Eagles. Look, I bought a lot of Eagles in the last month. So I'm going to chill until it really makes sense to do so again. But I will also say, folks, wow, I was going to say something. I totally forgot what it was. Anyway. Maybe it'll come back to me. Gold price under pressure even as U.S. labor market remains weak. Gold prices remain under pressure as the U.S. labor market sees little improvement. Thursday, the U.S. Department of Labor said first-time U.S. jobless claims rose slightly more than expected during the week to Saturday to a seasonally adjusted 870,000 claims. Blah, blah, blah. Gold prices has seen a slight renewal of selling pressure following the slightly weaker than expected data. Okay. Nothing too crazy there. But yeah, that is it for today. I'm going to stop the video. Y'all have a great day. We will see you tomorrow on Friday and then again on Monday. No weekend. All right, see ya.